What's up? This is Ray. Welcome back. Hey, this is going to be a kind of special and important video to me and in my opinion, because I've been doing YouTube for probably over 5 years now, and I learned a lot what I shouldn't do and what I should do, and some things I spent money on I didn't need to. So this video, we're going to be looking at gear that I recommend if you're starting out on YouTube. And the main point I want you to take away from this is that you don't need to spend a lot of money to get decent video or audio on YouTube. You just have to use the right techniques and know the basics of photography and video, and you'll be just right. So we're going to be talking about different types of cameras, from cell phones to digital cameras. We're going to talk about audio, and most importantly, lighting, actually. So yeah, if you're curious, if you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel or getting into any kind of video and you're overwhelmed by all the choices, I've reviewed a lot of products from different companies, and I learned what's cool and what's not, what's worth the money and what's not. So stick around. I'm going to show you pretty much everything I learned, but you should be able to get something out of this video. So if you're curious, stick around. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is cameras, because I know this is what's on your mind. The camera I recommend, and the one I'm using right now, is the Lumix G7. I really recommend it because of its features and what it can do, and its price. You can get this camera in 2019 for about $500, including the kit zoom. I'm going to tell you some of the features that are very important. One thing is it has a flippy screen. Right now I can look at myself and I can see that I'm in frame. My head isn't cut off. A lot of high-end cameras don't have that. For example, the Sonys, you can't see yourself. It doesn't make sense because everyone is not necessarily a vlogger. You have to see yourself at times, and this is one way to do it. Another thing this camera has is it shoots 4K. I don't even need that. I shoot everything in 1080p, and how does it look to you? It has peaking. In other words, if you're manually focusing, there's areas of the screen in focus will highlight, and it helps you. It has something very important called zebra. Any areas that are overexposed will have a zebra line across it, so you know to make an adjustment. This Lumix GH1 didn't have any of those things, and many times after I shot the video and I started editing, I would see parts that are too overexposed. I would see things that were kind of out of focus, different things like that. That's one reason and one of the most important reasons I like about that, the modern Panasonics, is they have this app, the Lumix app, that you can control the camera from the phone. Watch what I'm about to do. I'm going to tap the bookcase. Notice how the bookcase just got in focus, and I'm probably a little out of focus. Let me get me back in focus. Touch my face. The reason this is good is because before I had this camera, I had to get up and press record and sit back down, and it just was such a hassle. I can even, if I say something wrong, I can delete it right from here and restart it. So yeah, but at the end of this video, I'm going to show you what this Lumix GH1 looks like, and you may be surprised that it's not terrible. You just need to make sure you have the good lighting and good microphone and all that. But yes, Lumix G7 is what I recommend. Any of the G series, actually. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is audio. Very important. If you have a beautiful video, a red camera, but the audio sounds bad, people are just technically, their mind isn't going to want to watch it. So right now I'm using a Maono wired microphone. It's a long cord that runs to the camera. It's the most important thing with microphones is having it near your mouth. Another thing that people would like to use, especially vloggers, they like to use this type of shotgun microphone. It picks up sound from a distance in front of it, and it isolates sound from the side and behind. And that's what a lot of people like to use. I don't really, it's just a personal preference, but I don't really like using that. I'd rather have the microphone right here, right by my mouth. It's just my preference. Another cool thing is wireless microphone. Sometimes when I'm outdoors, if I'm reviewing something that's a distant from the camera, this wire won't work. This is a Pixel wireless microphone set. I'm very impressed with it. It's only $99. I'm going to put up here, I did a review of it. You can click that, and also an Amazon link where you can get this. I was really impressed with how it sounds, man. So yeah, when it comes to running a YouTube channel, you don't need a lot of money. But if you're going to be using a cell phone for your video, you have to understand that the microphone jack is different. The microphone jack for a cell phone will have 3 black rings around it that you plug in. A camera jack will have 2 black rings. So keep that in mind when you're buying. But yes, make sure you have some form of a microphone when you're doing YouTube. Don't do like I did in the beginning and talk to the camera. It doesn't sound as good as you think it does in the beginning. All right, if you do get the Panasonic system, a couple lenses that I recommend is one you're looking through right now. You're looking through the Panasonic 25mm 1.7. It is good in low light, and it's also very affordable. If you catch it at the right time on B&H or Adorama, you can get it for about 150 bucks, which is really good. And as you can see, I'm shooting it wide open. Wide open is usually the least sharpest of any lens, so you can tell for yourself how it looks. And matter of fact, I'm gonna really adjust the aperture right now while I'm talking to you, because I'm curious how I'm gonna move it from wide open to 2.8. That's one cool thing about the app. So I'm curious, did you see a difference in the background change or any sharpness? Yeah, so those are, another lens I recommend is the Sigma 19mm. That's also an affordable lens. It's a 2.8 aperture, and what I like about it is the manual focus ring feels very locked in and linear. It's not accelerative like a lot of the fly-by-wire lenses. So those are just a couple lenses I recommend for the Lumix system. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is lighting. I recommend, no matter what you do, I recommend having a softbox. Actually, I recommend having 2 softboxes. Right now, I'm only using one. I should have another one over there, but the reason why, the softbox has a diffuser in front of it. The light is soft. It just looks natural. So when you set your camera to daylight balance, this daylight balance light will make the colors accurate and everything. That's something I didn't do in the beginning. I didn't know about that. Softboxes don't cost much. I'm going to put a price of this one here and a link to where you can get it on Amazon. It's from a company called Esddi, E-S-D-D-I. I also did a video review of it, which I'll put a link to here. But yes, and let's say, for example, you're a 15-year-old kid again who lives at home, doesn't have a job or whatever. If you can't afford a softbox, get a daylight balance bulb from Home Depot or something and put it in your lamps, and I'll put those lamps close to you, and you'll get the same color accuracy, and it may not be as bright as this, but that is another way you can get accurate lighting, better lighting. Do not use the incandescent bulbs like I did. It looks bad. It makes everything look orange. So yeah, lighting, audio, those are probably the 2 most important things. And then what type of camera you're using. It sounds weird, but that's really the progression. Okay, so another important thing you're going to need is a tripod to sit your camera on top of, like what I'm using right here. If you have a good budget, I recommend this articulating tripod by K&F Concept that I reviewed a while back. I'm going to put a link as always to it and a link to the video. What's cool about this tripod is it can go taller than I can stand. It has an articulating arm on it that where you can extend the camera out and do overhead shots from top down. So if you're doing product photography and things like that, if you don't need that articulating part, I'll show you another link to another type of tripod that's affordable. It doesn't have that. It's going to be a lot lighter. And also it's important to keep in mind, you probably don't need a big heavy tripod, especially if you do a lot of traveling. So it's good to have what's called a travel tripod also, something that's really small and that can fold up and fit in a small place. But either way, whatever tripod you get, I recommend you get one with a ball head on top so that you can adjust the camera at any angle. Some of the plasticky old school tripods only flip over in one direction. So yeah, so look in the description. I'll show you some tripods that I recommend that are affordable as well. All right, so check this out. This is the 10-year-old Lumix GH1. And I'm not telling you to go out and buy an old camera like this. That's not the point. The point is to show when you have a decent, adequate lighting, adequate microphone, pretty much any modern camera is good enough from an old camera like this to a cell phone. So keep that in mind. Another thing is these old Lumix cameras are known for having unreliable autofocus. So I just want to do a quick test. It's on set to continuous autofocus mode. Let's see what happens. I'm curious how long it takes to lock on to that bookcase behind me. It's pretty fast from my first test. How long does it take to lock back onto my face? Yeah, this camera's like $110 on eBay. And I would recommend, if you're a kid, you don't have a lot of money, no job, if you can afford it, doing some work around the neighborhood, I recommend even getting the GH2 or the 3, whichever. But it just goes to show some of these cameras have great manual controls for someone starting out. So that's just one thing I wanted to point out. All right, so I don't want to make this video run too long. I'm actually supposed to be leaving for work already. So hopefully these basic gear I can show you. You can see that there's all kind of different price range that can still give you good quality video, audio, and lighting for whatever budget you're in. And it's something that way you don't have to spend years making mistakes on your YouTube channel to get decent output. So yeah, I'm sure there's things I forgot to include in this video. So hopefully when I'm editing it, I'll put some other things in the description that I recommend. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. And a lot of these products I got were sent to me from companies asking me to review it. So that's one cool thing about running a YouTube channel. If you do a good a job as you can, sometimes companies will reach out to you. I didn't pay for any of my lighting, any of my tripods, any of my microphones. And that's a whole nother subject. But the point is, it shows you that if you start your channel and you work hard, it'll take time, but there are benefits to come from it. So hey, thanks for watching, and keep in mind, no matter what gear you use for your video, your photography, or no matter what you do, as always, until next time, keep it real.